run together. I also think that a greeter would be important. I know we have them in our multi-specialty offices and buildings. You may see them with red coats if you walk into some of our outpatient facilities. Volunteering and shadowing is also a great opportunity. So they're things that I think would be important. Mary Kate?
Yep. Yeah, no, definitely. I was going to say, I have our PSAs down here, which is a good role just to kind of learn even terminology around a hospital, to learn, the backside of medical is only going to help you further along. But I would say anyone interested more in the bedside medical care, if you're going to nursing school, PA school, or just not sure what direction you want to go in yet, we do have techs that do not require any sort of pre-certification. So any ER tech role that you see, there's no certification you need, and that's going to give you that real kind of hands-on experience, of course, in emergency medicine, but you'll learn as much about bedside as you can there, as well as any sort of lab assistant role is another good one to get, kind of if you are, looking at pharmacy school or anything like that. Those are all entry level. You don't need any sort of certification to go in beforehand, which I know you guys are busy. So going out and getting, a CNA certification or medical assistant might not be as realistic, but those two, anything if you have any pre-existing certifications, would all be good entry level roles to just kind of get your hands in there.
I'll echo what Dawn and Mary Kate said about the tech position. At CHOP, that's a really important sort of first step into the clinical world, specifically with nursing. We have an extern program offered for, could be an accelerated program, you could be in a traditional undergrad nursing program. I don't know if anyone is already enrolled in nursing, or maybe that is something that will come later, but it's between your, like right before your final year. You can apply to be an extern at CHOP, and we almost always keep the externs in a pipeline to become future nurses. It's a great way to see if nursing is for you or if patient care in general is for you. I think it exposes a lot in that position, and it's not for everybody. So it's a great way to sort of see what it's all about. Most people, of course, want to stay. It's a great program, but becoming an extern or a tech or a co-op is really a wonderful way to enter. And we do make a point to really retain those techs as nurse residents. Um, the other thing that came to mind was being a medical scribe. If you have a background in biology, physiology, kinesiology, things like that, and you're interested in entering the medical world, I think a scribe is a great way to go alongside a physician or an advanced practice provider like a PA or an NP and document for them. So you learn a lot, you get to see how they interact with patients, and you get some patient interaction yourself. So I think it's another good field to sort of get your feet wet.
Just to follow up to that, is there anything specifically in terms of coursework that you guys are looking for entry level roles?
I would say with Penn Medicine, no. I mean, we have students working, especially in those roles already, that are coming across all boards. I have some students that are still in their first couple years of school that are working as like ED techs and PCTs all over the hospital that are just trying to find what they want to do in order to take that next step. So, no one for entry level, we're not looking at that kind of coursework. So, anything is appreciated, or any previous experience will still be considered as well during that process.
And I like to add for the PSAs because I am mostly an
Mhm.
ambulatory for like a PSA role. I do find that some of my practices are always looking for experience, in the medical field, and I always remind them, we all had to start somewhere, right? And sometimes it's better to have somebody with less experience so you can teach them like your way and a fresh way. So
Mhm.
don't let that discourage you. If you hear that, let your recruiters know. And we have great relationships with our recruiters, and they can always go back to the practice manager and say like, kind of talk through it. And not that we want to change their mind, but maybe kind of jolt their mind a little bit to kind of think differently. Don't be discouraged.
Awesome. Can you talk about whoever wants to hop in next? Can you talk about some trends you're seeing within the industry in terms of the recruitment process? So timeline, anything like that, and then just the advantages you might see in terms of recruiting student athletes.
I can go. I just wanted to make sure. So, I know just speaking with John a little bit before just about the recruitment process. And right now, we're in change ever since COVID. I think the healthcare world is always changing and you have to be on your feet. So, right now, I'd say there's a heavy focus on soft skills and a lot of emotional intelligence, which something that there's, probably not a course on that. If there is, I'm impressed. But a second thing is a lot of companies, especially with Penn Medicine, we're looking more at internal promotions, like Dawn was saying, kind of starting with that person who was a PSA through school and stayed on, and upskilling them. That's another huge focus in recruitment. And I'd say being a student athlete, I know firsthand that you guys have a strong work ethic. You have that competitive drive that you can't teach someone to be competitive. And then adaptability are all huge advantages that I think you guys have, which is again something that you can't teach. So you guys are already ahead of the game that way, which I think is important.
I can't
Sorry
speak
for
too
my
much
thumbs
to,
exploding on
oh,
screen there. I don't know
I
what
liked it,
happened.
Dawn. I was just going to say, I can't speak too much to the recruiting process outside of nursing, but I will say this pipeline, which is newer from the extern to tech to nurse resident, which is what we call our new to practice nurses within their first year. That is a really strong way that we bring people in. That's not to say we don't hire people outside the extern program. We do, and we hire clinical nurses, which are the experienced nurses. So we have some diversity there, but I wanted to mention that I think you can leverage so much coming from a student athlete perspective. You can say that you work really well with other people. You are so dedicated, resilient, hardworking, driven. Like there are so many things that you can pull from your experience as a student athlete that really may give you an upper hand next to some other candidates. So I would really pull from that as you apply to positions and look for jobs. To really make yourself stand out, because it's true. You do something amazing, you go to an incredible school, it's really demanding, and you're doing this whole other thing on the side too. So I would definitely pull from that.
Student athletes, do you guys want to butt in with any questions if you have any? Danya?
Sorry, I was trying to like get the mute button or unmute myself. Um, this is basically specifically like for like the chop industry, but I am very much interested in working with kids. I want to be a child psychiatrist, and I wanted to know if there were any like shadowing or mentoring opportunities like at CHOP, like in the summer or like just like anytime throughout the year. That's one question I had.
Yeah. Do you mind saying your name again? I just want to make sure I'm pronouncing it right.
Adonia.
That's what I was gonna say. And then whenever I don't go for it, that's how it's pronounced. But Adania, shadowing, I will be honest, is hard to chop because so many people want to shadow. It's tough to really find the right avenue. We're also really strict on clearances. So it's like can't have just everybody come in that wants to come see chop. We want to protect patient privacy, all of that. With your interest in child psychology and working directly with children, I would encourage you to look into the role of a child life specialist. I don't know if any of you have heard of this. I really hadn't until I started working at CHOP, but they've a diverse, like they have diverse backgrounds. Some have degrees in psychology, different developmental degrees. Some have advanced degrees, but they really are an incredible special role. Their main job is to decrease the trauma that is inflicted on children while they're hospitalized or while they're in CHOPS care. Um, so they help with bedside procedures, they help coach children through things, they teach them about different diseases, surgeries, things like that. So they're an amazing profession that if you haven't heard of them, I would encourage you to look into it a little more. Um, so that could be a really great avenue if that's something you're interested in. I would also encourage you to look at volunteer opportunities at CHOP. We have people like at the pushing the Wawa cart around, giving coffee to patients and families and employees. You could be a sitter, like you could go in and hold babies when no one else is there to hold them. So it's a little bit more of a structured volunteer program versus like, oh, just come for the day and shadow, because it's so tough to get people in to do that, unfortunately. But I would look into those two things.
Thank you so much. That was really helpful.
Oh, good.
Did you have another, or we can move on? Maddie?
Um, So I know you were like talking about different opportunities for if you are like still in school, but would you have like a different recommendation for a gap year? 'Cause I'm like graduating like in the spring, and I'm planning on taking like probably around like at least 2 gap years, and I know I want to get some kind of clinical experience, but I don't know exactly what. And so I don't know, like, do you guys have any like recommendations? And if so, like, how do I go about like even finding a position?
I will,
I will.
oh, sorry,
Oh,
Mary
go
Kate,
ahead.
you
You
go.
got it. Okay. All right. Sorry. That's why I always wait a second, then I
I
always
know, me
go. But
too.
I'm not good at the online stuff. But I'd say almost. Do you have an idea, Maddie, of what you want to do like after? Or are you going back to school? Like, I'm sure you're still toying with that. But
Yeah,
any idea at all?
like am pre-med, so
Oh,
like
nice.
eventually going to like med
Mhm.
school or
Yeah.
like MD DO
Mhm.
probably.
Definitely.
So yeah.
Yeah, I would say same thing. Any of those tech roles I have, I don't hire a lot of the techs just because I don't have some of the roles that don't take the certifications. But if you're serious about taking that year to year and a half, 2 years off, it might be worth it to look into a CNA or medical assistant program. I'm sure, I mean, obviously, once you're out of school, I would say look into that. But I have a lot of CNAs that come and work with me for 2 years before going back to medical school. Some do it while they're in medical school, which I don't know how. But I would even say there's PRN opportunities out there too, which is a little less on you, but same thing. You can find those all on the website. You can look up tech, and that'll bring up the lab tech, medical techs, and things like that. And then CNAs are on there as well, and they're all open to like entry level. So there isn't going to be one specific for you, but I will say it's worth noting that on your resume, when you do go to apply, you can kind of put in the little like objective part, just, your plans to take those 2 years and what your objectives and goals are, because that'll help you stand out when you're applying that, you will be there for 2 years and just give a better idea. I also think a lot of the clerk positions, I know Dawn mentioned the front desk ones. We have those as well at Penn under unit secretaries, which is a little bit more hands off and you're kind of working the front desk and coordinating with nurses and doctors. So you'd be eligible for that one as well. A little similar, but just a little bit more administration than it is hands on.
I know in the ambulance, Lily, go ahead.
Oh, no, no,
Are you sure?
you go.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
In the ambulatory world, meaning outpatient physician practices, we've had scribes, and we knew from the beginning that they were only going to be there for a year or maybe two. And it was really helpful for the scribe and also for the physician or the nurse practitioner or PA that they were working with. And interestingly, they're a little bit higher level than the medical assistant or the nursing assistant because they have a lot more knowledge. And it's been a wonderful experience in a couple of our outpatient practices. So a scribe would be definitely something that you could look into as well.
I think med students or pre-med students make amazing scribes. Um, and it really, even if it's not something that you're going to do long term, like this is just something to bridge the gap between medical school or becoming a physician, whatever it may be, um, you will learn so much. If you're a clerk, you learn how to deal with patients and families who are unhappy. You learn how to work with other disciplines. If you're in an aide or a tech position, like you're dealing with patients, you're seeing how the nurses work, how the physicians work, and then a scribe, you're learning really the plan of care. So I think you can pull so many different things from roles that may be available to you. Um, and they really are all fantastic wherever you land. The other thing, I know this isn't patient facing, but you could do something in research for those 2 years, 1 year, whatever it is. I did that when I was in grad school. I worked as a research assistant for one of the PhD prepared professors, and I learned so much about sort of evidence-based practice, like on the back end, how healthcare works. So I really value that in my current role too.
Another question in the chat. If you were in my position, junior year in college, pre-med with multiple interests, what steps would you prioritize now?
Adania, I think being pre-med, when you go to medical school, you'll be exposed to a lot of different specialties. And I think people often go into medical school thinking they want something like, I want to be a dermatologist and nothing else. And that is absolutely what I'm going to be one day. And then you do different rotations and you end up loving something different. So I wouldn't stress about trying to find the right specialty or the right perfect role. Um, I would prioritize anything that gets you in front of patients and families. If it's volunteering, like I didn't get the CHOP externship, which I like preach about so much, but I didn't get it. So I was like, well, I got to do something else then. I got to figure this out. I volunteered at a free clinic and did HIV testing, and it was not what I initially wanted, and I ended up loving it. There were so many patients and families who didn't speak English. I had my first experience using an interpreter service with patients, so it's wherever you choose to go, whether it's volunteering at CHOP, which I think you should do, um, I would do something that's patient facing. That's my advice.
I was going to say that as well. I have volunteering down, also those externships and internships. Those really don't start recruiting more until the winter-ish, but those will be posted on our site as well. I just think they're, like Lily was saying, it's, you know your dream, but sometimes you got to take kind of, those other steps just to gain the experience. I think any experience is good experience. And then I was going to add on top of that, just kind of using the network that you guys have. I was talking earlier before you guys on, and I found out that you guys have a great network of supporters and advisors that work with you. So keeping those connections are only going to help you later down the line. So I think it's important just to stay active in your career center. I used to kind of basically hang out in my career center, which probably shows how cool I am. But you're only going to learn about different opportunities from getting out there. It's not going to pop up on TikTok like we all expect. You got to go try to find them. So keeping your network and just growing your network, I think, is important too. And it's never too early.
From Marissa, hey, I'm also taking 2 gap years after I graduated in the spring, and I plan to do a DIY post-bac to finish up a couple of my pre-med requirements. I currently work in a dry lab and was contemplating staying in my lab while in my gap years. Do you think it would be valuable or would it be beneficial to pivot and find a position more directly involved in traditional hospital setting?
I'm going to defer because I don't deal with the hospital setting. So I'm going to defer to you, Mary
Marissa, what's
Kate
a
or
dry
Lily.
lab?
Yeah, that was what's tripping me
Is
up.
that like
She might have to be typing it to
Yeah,
she
us.
she
might be
might be
No,
typing?
it's
typing.
okay.
She's like,
I
now I'm
was
gonna
going
have
to
to
Google
type
it.
the whole
Yeah,
description of what a dry lab is. I could Google it too.
I might
Um,
Google.
Let me think though. I think that whatever you can do to finish out your pre-med requirements, like giving yourself time to focus on that, that's likely the priority. Um, so if working in your dry lab, whatever it may be, is conducive to that, like where you can really study and finish out like the education side of it, I think that would be fine. But if you have interest in getting exposed to patients now, I think you could always pivot and do something that's like more of a traditional hospital setting, like those tech roles,
Mhm.
nursing aides, things like that.
So it sounds like the dry lab is working in calculations and research. That was
Oh,
what.
the
Oh, here we
psychiatry
go.
department.
I think research is important. So, I mean, don't want to tell you to stay if you don't want to stay. I mean, if you love the dry lab, I think getting that research is a great experience. Like I said, I think all experience is good experience, but if you've had a lot of time there and you want to try something else, you could take those gap years because that educate or the experience isn't going to go away. That will be on your resume. So I think either or, but heavy research is always important, especially I know when getting into med school, they look for research. So I think that's a good step that you're already taking.
Mhm.
All right. Um, Next question would be, can you guys talk about anything that surprised you early on in your career? And then are there any areas that you found success in or growth early on?
I was talking about this with my nursing colleagues today, who I started with, and I'm like, what do I say in this panel to not scare them? Because honestly, what surprised me the most was how hard it was and how being in the medical field and in nursing was so different for what my friends were doing. And being 22, just graduated college, all of my friends are living in Philly, going to happy hour, going to book club, doing all these things. And I'm like, I have to go work night shift. Like, I don't like this. I feel like I chose the wrong thing. So it's evidence-based. This is in the literature that new clinicians face culture shock or transition shock when they're starting a new position in a similar field. So I wish I had known that. I glamorized working at CHOP. I glamorized being a nurse until I was actually in the role. And I was like, okay, wait, this is really hard, actually. Like, what have I gotten myself into? Um, but I think with that came the biggest piece of growth and success in that I stuck it out. The first 6 months were really hard, adjusting to working nights, working weekends, being away from my family on Christmas. Um, but it has been the most valuable, one of the most valuable things in my life is saying that I'm a nurse and saying that I work at CHOP. Um, and I was looking back on that first year, I'm so proud of my growth and that I was able to learn so much and be an independently practicing nurse. So the hard part and what surprises me and what I'm proud of really go together.
Yeah, I want to echo what Lily just said as well. So when I started my career in healthcare back in 1996, I was a medical assistant making $11.75 an hour, and I was really proud of that. I couldn't wait to get up in the morning. I couldn't wait to, to go to work. And I was like, wow, this is really hard. Like Lily said, I wasn't doing the caliber of work that Lily was doing, but with no college education, I was really proud of what I was doing. But healthcare changes, it's ever changing every day. And one thing that I will say is never prepare your day because you'll be really disappointed. Just go with the flow. Even as an administrator now, I live and die by my calendar. But if I miss something on my calendar, I can't be disappointed because you're going to miss things. But just do what you do best, show up every day with a smile on your face and just be proud of what you're doing because, 30 years later, I'm doing something that I never thought that I would have an opportunity to do. And that's sitting here at Penn Medicine as a senior administrator.
I'm just going to echo off of Lily and Dawn. I did not have the privilege of ever working in a clinical setting. I have a communications degree, and before my previous job, I just kind of found the desk life to be a little unmotivating. I found myself kind of just getting lost in everyday motions and showing up. And not that I was bored, it just I wasn't having like a why behind it. And I learned kind of to have that say yes attitude or just saying yes to different opportunities that come up can kind of find that can do mindset for you. And just saying yes in general to everything that you can. I always say be a sponge, but be a sponge to people around you, even if it's going to sit with someone at work that you have no idea what they do and just learning about what they do, I think is, always saying yes to different things is also going to have your name in someone's head when a different opportunity arises. So, I found success with just working with different people and teams to kind of create that internal network so that when the next opportunity comes up, they have your name in your head. So I think it's important just to get motivated early on.
I
And
would
I also
like
want
to,
to, go ahead.
oh, sorry.
Go ahead,
I just
Emily.
want to say for our students, because I think sometimes, and I don't want to speak for you, Langston, but like in our office, like we celebrate every day our student athletes. And I think we recognize very clearly the skills. And Lily, you talked about some of them, the skill set that you have that might be different from a non-athlete. But like what Dawn was saying, like that to me, and like what you're saying, Mary Kate, like that's like adaptability. That's like having a game plan, but needing to pivot in the moment. That's like being coachable. So I hope that you all recognize as we're talking about these things, how transferable some of those skills are. Because I know right now it's really easy to see how it relates to your athletic career. And I think you've probably, hopefully, found ways to see how it relates to your life in the classroom, but like you do really have like every day, all the hours that you're putting in as a student athlete, like you're practicing these very real world skills that you could transfer into these spaces.
Yeah, I was gonna say I forget who, I think it was Mary Kate who said there's probably no class for soft skills, but that would be great if there was. Like your sport is your class, that's your
Yeah.
class. You learn that
Mhm.
stuff through dealing with your coaches, dealing with your teammates, dealing with your opponent. Like that stuff is stuff that you see every single day
Mhm.
in your sport, and whether you realize it or not, that's really one of the most important skills you're gonna have
Mhm.
going through life.
And Paula, we
And
to
Paula.
you three have our Penn Athletics Wharton Leadership Academy is like a really fantastic partnership with Wharton. But I think that's just like a great space to really be challenging our student athletes to look at that, look at those kinds of skills. But
I think one of the other things that surprised me is as a 19-year-old kid going into, Crozier Chester Medical Center, back when it was still around, that you think everybody that you work with is your friend. Please maintain again, not to scare you, kind of to Lily's point earlier, but you can only control yourself and you need to maintain that professional relationship with your colleagues, because accountability is key. And you could be great and friendly, and once somebody becomes accountable for something, unfortunately they're going to drag you into it. So just be cautious of that and just maintain those professional relationships. I'm not saying that you won't get personal relationships out of work. My mentor is still my best friend to this day, that I met back when I started working. But just be careful and just be cautious.
Dawn, I
Look
wish
out for
someone had
yourself.
told me
Look out for
that.
number one.
Yeah. Professionalism is something that I learned in real time. I didn't
Mhm.
come into the role knowing what Dawn just told you. I feel like I had moments of not being inappropriate, but being maybe too friendly, too
Mhm.
comfortable, like having fun where I should have been more serious. And it took me messing up to realize how to really be professional and accountable, respectful, like all of the values that you should have as a professional, especially in a medical community.
Yes.
So remember that too, that not everyone's just there to be your buddy. You need to maintain professional boundaries and sort of figure that out as you go, but come in with that approach.
We'll go to Adana's question. If we're applying to summer positions but can only start in July, do you suggest focusing on short-term slash part-time internships, or are there long-term opportunities that you can continue to do into the school year?
I know Lily mentioned it before for CHOP, but Penn's the same way that if you get an internship or like an externship for nurses, a lot of the units or a lot of, or I could say at least at HUP and some of the downtown hospitals, after your short-term externship or internship, they will keep you on most sometimes. They'll offer you an opportunity to stay there per diem or part-time or whatever works with your schedule. So it's kind of a mix of both. I'd say yes and no. You can look at either position, but if you find an internship that you're interested in and for some reason if it works, a lot of times they can, give you that opportunity to stay on part-time as you enter the school year again.
Yeah, that's how CHOP works too.
Mhm.
We keep techs, like people can come back and work when they're home on Christmas
Mhm.
break.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I have nurses that come home like from Penn State to work one shift every like other month just to stay connected. So there's different opportunities available. Luckily, you guys are a little closer, so it helps. But they're flexible, especially you being a student. It's not going to be the same as a full time CNA requirement or anything like that.
Kind of touched on this before in our previous discussion, but what do you know about networking and navigating a career that you wish you'd known before you graduated or when you graduated?
I mean, I think we touched on this a little bit. Networking and getting to know people is really important, and somebody always knows somebody. So whatever you're looking to do, whatever question you have, I guarantee you talk to one of your friends or family members. Somebody knows somebody either at Penn or at Chop or at Mainline that can help you. And don't be afraid to. If you don't ask, you're not going to get the answer, right? So just ask the question, and put yourself out there. Get out of your comfort zone. That's really going to be important. I know one
Mhm.
of my biggest fears, you probably won't believe this, is public speaking. My boss, he's a COO. He asked me about a year ago if I would start co-facilitating new manager onboarding. I said yes. And then I cried to myself. I'm like, I can't believe I just committed to that. And the first time I did it, my voice cracked and I wanted to cry. And now I'm like, now I'm doing it for like the fifth time. And I'm so proud of myself that I'm like doing that. So put yourself out there and get out of your comfort zone. I think, we need to encourage, the younger, applicants that are coming on board to do things other than just sit at the front desk. Like, you don't just do anything. You're a really important part of our team. And we should be asking you to do stretch projects and to do something just a little bit more. So somebody earlier said, I think it was Mary Kate, just say yes. Even if you don't want to, don't think about it, just say yes. I promise you, you will pat yourself on the back. It might be a year later, you might cry in the meantime, but it's okay. Just say yes. You'll thank me later.
I always say that even if you're scared, do it, because the worst that's going to happen is you mess up or something goes wrong. So that was what I was going to add on to. I think it's important to have a network of, your people in your industry or on your team that you have, but I think it's also important to network outside of your immediate role that you have. I mean, I have stayed connected with people from school who were in completely different settings than me, but it's always good to have them in your back pocket because you never know what is going to happen. I was at a critical care conference and I just walked by and saw someone from Jeff Star who went to Westchester and he was in the helicopter, and now I have a connection with him. If anything ever changes, we have each other. And I think it's important just to keep connections, especially you guys as student athletes. I mean, I have friends that were student athletes and they'll see someone who played at an opposing team and now they're coworkers. So I think it's nice to, keep those names in the back of your head, and having a network is only going to help you further.
Yeah. And I think it can be awkward a little if you know of someone, like
Mhm.
let's say you remember someone from Penn when you're out working professionally and you're like, there's no way they remember me. Just go
Mhm.
introduce yourself again. Be like, I remember you from college. You probably don't remember me, but
Yep.
we did this together. So I feel like I shied away from that sometimes when I was younger, but now I'm like, you went to my high school. I'm
Mhm.
3 years older than you, but I remember you. And now we both are nurses here at CHOP. So it's just nice to build connections with
Mhm.
people or bring them back. Um, and I very much echo what Mary Kate and Dawn are saying, to say yes. I think oftentimes when you're out there working professionally or maybe leading up to it, you get the tap on the shoulder, like, I think you'd be great for this role. And imposter syndrome is very real.
Mhm.
I think it's easy to think like, oh my God, they are very mistaken that they think I'm the right person for this. But other people may see leadership qualities, they may see skills in you before you feel them or before you realize you have
Mhm.
them. So allow yourself the opportunity to lead or to take something new on. And you may really surprise yourself. And I think that is really the only way to grow, is to sort of jump in, trust that other people have your back and they're supporting you for the right reasons.
Mhm.
So
I
lean on
think
your network.
Yeah, I was going to say that. And then I know we mentioned it earlier, but kind of your first job is not going to be your career forever. I mean, people that are in the same first position for 50 plus years, I think are really lucky. So I think it's tough and to say don't get discouraged. But I started out in a role, I had nothing, I didn't want to do it at all. I took it during COVID because it was the only place hiring. And I used those skills in the agency to learn how to handle angry customers and learn those soft skills and interpersonal skills that I can now use in my recruiting. So I always say, the first thing you do doesn't have to be the thing you do forever. I think my brother had like 3 jobs in 3 years post grad. I mean, his resume didn't look good, but he got all those skills and now he's in the same position for 10 years. So, I think it's always good to say yes and just keep those opportunities and don't stop in your track just because, something's not working out for you. You got to go through to get over. So that's always important.
And Lily, just to speak about, you just said, lean on your network. I'm very heavy on LinkedIn. I try to get as many contacts as I can or connections. And I just reached out to a woman, that I went to grade school with and high school with. She's now the senior director of the Chester County Food Bank. And
Oh,
I'm like,
wow.
I And I'm like, I feel like I work, all I do is work. My son is grown. And I'm like, I want to volunteer. So I reached out to her and I just told her how proud I was of her. It was a little sappy, but I was being truthful. And, now we're connected and now I'm going to start volunteering at the Chester County Food Bank. So, I not that I hesitated, but I'm like, is she going to remember me? Of course she's going to remember me. We graduated high school 35 years ago, but she's going to remember me. And of course she remembered me. But don't be shy. Just do it. And even if
Mhm.
they don't remember you, they're going to pretend that they do. So
Yeah.
it's okay. Just
And
do
then they'll
it.
go home and they'll look you up and then they'll
Yes.
remember you.
Yes,
I was
absolutely.
the same way in college. I would put my head down walking to class and I wouldn't say hi to someone. And now I'll go up to someone at a networking event or at a hiring
Yep.
event and be like, I know you. I went to high school with you.
Yep.
Let me come. I just helped someone that I went to high school with get a job here at Penn Medicine. And I reached out to her. She didn't even reach out to me. I said, I'm going to help you out. So it goes both ways. If you're
Yep.
looking and someone else is looking, I think, keep your network and don't be scared because, like I said, they're going to act like they know you and then they're going to remember who you are. So just be
Absolutely.
confident. I think as long as you're faking it, you're making it, which I think goes a long way,
Right.
especially in public speaking. You're freaking out on the inside, but on the
Yes.
outside, you probably sounded great and were amazing. And no one knew you were scared or cried the night
No one
before.
knew, except for I told them all. So
Yeah. Well, you didn't have to.
I
Makes
felt
you
like I
more
had to.
approachable.
I
Mhm.
felt
Yeah.
like I had to.
I would also remind our students, I don't know if you're going to say this, Langston, but our Red and Blue Career Network, that is like your Penn Athletics LinkedIn. So that's a great space. Like if you need to be like given a task, like I'm, your coach and I'm telling you what it is, what reps you have to do. If you want to set aside like 30 minutes, one day a week to just do outreach to a few people to introduce yourself and just try to get some conversations going. If you do that for a few weeks, like you could connect to quite a lot of people to varying degrees of success, but like they're saying, just start, it's a good practice to start putting yourself out there. So I really encourage you guys to be active in that space because our Penn athlete alum are really motivated to help you out.
I would
Yeah.
also want to add, Dawn touched on this, find a mentor, whether it's now, whether it's when you enter a new position, but have somebody that's just like your go-to person to be your coach, to be a role model, to teach you how to get through something. So I would encourage you to find someone that you consider a mentor.
I've had the same mentor for 30 years. She's my best friend to this day, and she's actually retired from healthcare. I still talk to her every day. I'm not saying you have to talk to them every day, but I talk to her every day.
This is all awesome, awesome tidbits of information. I love it. Student athletes, if you guys have any final questions, I have one question left on our end, but otherwise, I want to give you guys the floor just for a little bit of Q&A at the end. We're all good. Then
Sorry, I just had a question for Emily. Can you repeat the name of the platform you're saying that's like the Penn LinkedIn kind of for athletes?
Yes, it's the Red and Blue Career Network.
Oh, right. Thank
Are
you.
you linking it, Langston?
I'm doing it right now.
Okay.
Yep.
Great clarifying question.
If there's no other questions, just last question. I mean, I've seen a lot of good themes, a lot of say yes to as much as you can, a lot of make connections with as many people as you can. If there's one thing, just one takeaway from each of you, Dawn, Lily, and Mary Kate, that you would like our student athletes to walk away with, what would it be?
I say be open to change. The one consistent thing in healthcare is change. Change can be scary. Don't allow it to be scary. Walk into it with confidence and be open to change.
I was just going to add, sorry. I was going to say stay open-minded, but I feel like I'm now just a broken record. I also would say be open to opportunities that might not be exactly what you're looking for. I know we already mentioned it, but if you want something in peds, that's wonderful, but it doesn't hurt to get, another background going because it's only going to overchange. So I always say just be open-minded. And same thing, I always say don't be tunnel vision. There's always opportunities that are going to come up. And if you only have your eyes open on one thing, that opportunity will pass you in the blink of an eye. So um, just keep open-minded and keep your eyes open to different things and embrace the change because it's going to happen.
I echo what Mary Kate says about being open to change. This is something that is a big trend, I think, in my relationships with newer nurses. People who are in the extern program often will say, like, well, I only want to work here if I get to work on oncology. So what if there's not a position open on oncology when I pass my boards? And I'm like, you cannot have that mindset. Like,
Mhm.
one, you're probably not going to get a position on oncology. Like, maybe you will, but like, you cannot just make it so small of an opportunity for yourself to be happy. Um, Also, units change. Like, I think this will be different if you become a physician, but you may be a nurse on the renal unit, and all of a sudden next week it's becoming the adolescent unit. Totally different patient population. We have no say in it. You just have to make it work. All of healthcare is that way. You are not guaranteed really anything. I think Dawn and Mary Kate touched on this too a lot. You have to be flexible. Um, so allow yourself to not like short circuit when that happens. Like, wait, this wasn't my plan. I know a lot of us are type A. We like control. You have to be willing to just go with the flow and adapt. And the other thing I will say, and I was supposed to have one takeaway, now I'm talking more, but I think in terms of building your network, you're already doing it. So I would be really mindful how you treat everyone that you come in contact with. Um, the unit clerk and the attending physician who runs the practice, you should treat them the same way. Um, one position is not higher or lower than another. Everyone is on one team together. And I think your real, not your personality, but who you are, your values show and how you treat everyone on the healthcare team. So I would start practicing that now.
I love that, Lily. That's great. Couldn't have said that any better.
Oh, thank you.
Hmm.
Awesome, awesome stuff. Again, thank you all. Really appreciate your time. Student athletes, I highly suggest you connect with everybody on LinkedIn. Also, highly suggest you check out the Red and Blue Career Network if you're looking for alumni that might be in your career interest. But again, thanks so much. This was really insightful. I think our student athletes found it really insightful too, and we're really excited for just what's next for everybody. So, thanks everybody.
Thanks for
Thank
having
you
me.
so
Thank
much.
you.
Good
Bye.
night.
Bye.